Donald Trump's Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, gave an incredibly awkward and cringy speech today in front of 800 of America's top generals, all gathered from around the world in one room because that's a wise idea, all gathered to listen to Pete Hegseth spout online memes like this clip.
In other words, to our enemies, F-A-F-O.
Yikes, Pete. I mean, you could kind of tell that he was expecting a producer on Fox News to stand up and go like, applause, applause. And these generals are like scratching their heads like, what is this guy? Is this guy for real? Now, it got even worse. Listen to Pete Hegseth talk about how he just wants to get rid of the rules of engagement.
We are preparing every day. We have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader.
Those rules of engagement were put into place after World War II to stop war crimes, to prevent civilians from being unnecessarily murdered by U.S. troops, to make sure maximum lethality, like Pete Hegseth is talking about there, was against the right target. But no, not in Pete Hegseth's world. He wants max lethality and he doesn't care who gets killed. He doesn't care what it looks like to the rest of the world. Because Pete Hegseth is a Fox News host. He is a character. He is a charade. He is not a real military leader. Now, let's also hear Pete Hegseth's ideas for training new recruits.
Train like your warriors' lives depend on it. Because they do. To that point, basic training is being restored to what it should be. Scary, tough, and disciplined. We're empowering drill sergeants to instill healthy fear in new recruits, ensuring that future warfighters are forged. Yes, they can shark attack, they can toss bunks, they can swear, and yes, they can put their hands on recruits. This does not mean they can be reckless or violate the law, but they can use tried and true methods to motivate new recruits, to make them the warriors they need to be.
Pete Hegseth wants drill sergeants to be able to manhandle kids going into the military, to, as he said, set them straight. Ambiguous terms that seem to be giving way to drill sergeants being able to beat their recruits. I mean, I don't know how else we're supposed to take what Pete Hegseth is saying there, but don't do anything illegal, right? Because then Pete Hegseth and the military under his command will come down on you hard, right?
But you should not pay for earnest mistakes for your entire career. And that's why today, at my direction, we're making changes to the retention of adverse information on personnel records that will allow leaders with forgivable, earnest, or minor infractions to not be encumbered by those infractions in perpetuity. People make honest mistakes, and our mistakes should not define an entire career. Otherwise, we only try not to make mistakes, and that's not the business we're in. We need risk takers and aggressive leaders, and a culture that supports you.
So Pete Hegseth's brilliant strategy to make our enemies fear us is to get rid of rules of engagement that were put in place to stop war crimes from being committed, which potentially opens U.S. military service members to possibly committing heinous war crimes. He wants drill sergeants to be able to be physically abusive with recruits. And then he wants to look the other way when policies are violated and say, it's okay. Pat him on the butt and say, get back out there. To like the worst of the worst when it comes to our military. Because let's not all pretend that they're angels. We respect our military. We respect the work that they put in to protect us. But we all know that it is a spectrum. We all know that there are people in the military who should not be in the military. There are people in the military who, if they violate conduct, they should be removed. And not this, hey, wink, wink, we'll keep you in there. Like, Pete Hegseth is one of those people who probably should have been kicked out of the military, who definitely should not be the Secretary of War. But in Donald Trump's America, who needs codes of conduct? Who needs rules of engagement? Who needs the Geneva Convention? Who needs to protect our recruits?
But in many ways, it's not their fault. It's not your fault. As foolish and reckless as the woke department was, those officers were following elected political leadership. An entire generation of generals and admirals were told that they must parrot the insane fallacy that, quote, our diversity is our strength. Of course, we know our unity is our strength. They had to put out dizzying DEI and LGBTQI+ statements. They were told females and males are the same thing, or that males who think they're females is totally normal. They were told that we need a green fleet and electric tanks. They were told to kick out Americans who refuse an emergency vaccine. They followed civilian policies set by foolish and reckless political leaders. And the media has obsessed over. I have fired a number of senior officers since taking over. The previous chairman, other members of the Joint Chiefs, combatant commanders, and other commanders. The rationale for me has been straightforward. It's nearly impossible to change a culture with the same people who helped create or even benefited from that culture, even if that culture was created by a previous president and previous secretary. My approach has been simple. When in doubt, assess the situation, follow your gut, and if it's the best for the military, make a change. We all serve at the pleasure of the president every single day. The words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. We would thank you for your service.